Hello from ABA Midyear Meeting 2018 in Vancouver, Canada. I'm Lawrence Coletti.
Fred McClure.
Chris Marks.
And we're on the road with Legal Talk Network. And we're back. Thank you so much for rejoining us on the road. It's a pleasure to be here in Vancouver. Really, really, really dark. And so it's winter. We are very far north, and it's not super cold. It's cool, but that's all right. Although it's dark, we're going to continue on. I've got a couple of great guests joining me today. I've got Fred McClure, and I've got Chris Marks joining us, and we're here to talk about an academy, sort of a class that you guys are putting on in association with the Trial Academy. But before we get to all that, let's learn a little bit more about you. Where do you work? What do you do? And then we'll probably want to get into the Trial Academy as well. So volunteer, who wants to go first?
It's Fred McClure. I'm a litigation partner at the DLA Piper in Miami, Florida.
And I'm with Tanenbaum Keale. We're a boutique litigation firm. I'm in the Seattle office. Happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
All right, let's talk about the Trial Academy, because the Trial Academy is responsible for putting this on. And from our little pregame conversation we had before, sounds like a great service. A lot of people are being educated here at the American Bar Association to be better trial attorneys. So let's start with the Trial Academy.
Yeah, great. We've got a great program that we do every year down in Reno, Nevada. This year in 2018, it's going to be April 14 to 18. The Trial Academy, we hold it at the National Judicial Center, which is where the judges from all over the country come to get trained. They've got a fantastic facility, model courtrooms. And we select 36 students every year, and each student is assigned a mentor. And the mentors come in plaintiff's version and defense version, and these are trial counsel from all over the country, thousands of hours of time in front of juries. And they act as the teachers, the coaches, and they work over a course of 4.5 days. The students do a trial, they watch a trial, and at the end of the program, they get to try a case. And what's fantastic about our program is that it's a real trial. We get jurors from Washoe County, which is right there in Reno. And we got a great partnership with Judge Barry, who's been with us for 14 years now, I think. And what she does, she sends out a summons, and 20 citizens show up thinking they're going to come to a jury selection, jury trial. And they find out it's going to be a mock trial, but it counts for the year. And the sheriff's deputy's there. He takes away their cell phones. They get sworn in, and then the students pick a jury. A real jury. They get to ask the questions, choose the best ones, or deselect the ones they don't like, and then they give the whole trial. And what makes it also great is that we bring in these witnesses from the university. A lot of trial academies, at least ones I've attended, it's the other lawyers playing the role of the doctor or the engineer. But here what we have is real doctors from the medical school. We have real engineers from the engineering department, and it's fantastic. They really get a chance to test an expert that they probably haven't seen before, and it's done in a courtroom setting. We videotape everything, and what starts out as maybe a meek and mild start, a little hesitancy on that Saturday morning when they give their opening, just turns into a great experience by the end. A lot of opportunities to fail, a lot of opportunities to learn, and it's just a great program. And I know Fred's been doing it for a long time, and we're just really happy to be part of it.
Yeah, Chris is absolutely right. There's nothing more rewarding as a faculty member to see someone in your pupillage group show up on Saturday. Sometimes every year we have at least one know-it-all, right? That's at least one. But most of the students show up unsure, and they don't know exactly what they don't know and how they'll perform. But over the course of the week, after working one-on-one with their faculty mentor, seeing themselves on videotape, getting instant feedback, and getting a chance to get back on their feet immediately, by the end of they're awesome. I mean, I always tease Chris, and we all sit around and joke about, we feel like proud mamas and papas in lots of ways. Yeah, that we see these students over the course of those days become the really fine lawyers that they are.
Yeah, it's so hard these days to get jury trials as a young lawyer. The days of 100, jury trial careers are over for so many of the people that go through law school and become attorneys. And we find, especially large firms, young lawyers can go 10, 15, 20 years and never see a courtroom beyond an oral argument. And of course, jury trial is a much different set of skills. And so this is really an opportunity to get a taste of that, to try it, and I think really give them the confidence to say that they can do it, because there's so much to know in trial, and then you've got the whole presentation to the audience on top of it.
We have had, over the course of the years that I've been involved, in the class from year to year, without fail, students who are just out of law school, students who have been practicing 3 or 4 years, students who've been practicing 5, 7 years. We've had partners in law firms who have never tried a case, who have come to the academy to get experience, to get real world experience. And so it's real world. Now, one correction I would make for Chris: the jurors who show up think they oftentimes don't figure out till later, when they see some of these witnesses, that they know that it's probably not a real trial, but they show up thinking it's a real trial. The bailiff has a gun on. The judge is the chief judge of the circuit. So I mean, and then when they start hearing some of the fact pattern, they realize it's probably. When we hear them deliberating, they say, "Well, this is probably they're just trying to figure out what this case is worth. This isn't a real case." Blah 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 blah.
We did have that woman though 2 years ago, and she sat back there and she said, I don't think the company did anything wrong, but I feel so bad for this poor little boy. And she was crying, and she never saw him because he didn't testify, because they don't have little boys at the University of Reno.
That's right.
So, but it's great. It's as close as you can get. We do mock trials, we do focus groups, but it really, until you have a real judge making decisions on your decisions, you just can't replicate that easily.
Well, let's talk about this class that you guys just put on. So speaking of trial skills, the introduction of evidence, which is key to any trial attorney, whether you're in criminal court or civil court. And so let's start with that. The name of it was TIPS, Trial Academy for YLD Evidence Conga Line. So you guys had me a conga line, by the way. When I saw that, I had to investigate what that meant. Now, I understand there's somebody inspired the name conga line for this. So I'm turning to you, Fred, for this one.
Well, if you think about it, see, Gloria Estefan, as a Miami lawyer, so Gloria Estefan says the rhythm's going to get you. So we just take that and say the rules are going to get you. Yeah, so you better know the rules, right? And so it is really premised on that, right? So we have the students sort of line up to try to teach them the rules of evidence in a practical implementation way. They know the substantive law. I mean, they can quote you back to back, the rule and what it says. But when I'm standing on my feet in front of a judge, in front of a jury, how do I take the theoretical and put it into the practical?
Right.
Yeah. And so we have them stand up. We give them a document. They get to ask one question each, and it keeps going. And then when they think they've laid the proper foundation to get the document in, somebody moves it. If there's an objection, they've got to get past that objection, just like they would at court. And it's a fun way to be willing to fail and to be vulnerable. We're all lawyers. We're all type A's. Yeah, we all have egos. I mean, we don't, but most lawyers do have egos. And nobody wants to look like they don't know something. But when you convert it to a game and to fun, being wrong can be part of the fun. Right, and so they accept it, and they're willing to be vulnerable. And so we saw it today in the room with a group of young lawyers we've never seen before in our lives, and they were totally engaged. And so that's what we hope to pull out of them over the course of the academy.
So how many people were there taking your class and going through this with you?
Yeah, we had about a dozen students, and I think that
Now, they were all different ages, right? So I know it's
You
young
mean at the
lawyers that
academy
just- yeah,
itself?
or not at the academy, but at this particular
today we had about a dozen attendees that came, and for the actual program we have 36. And I think it worked exceptionally well, because the hardest thing about trial work is thinking on your feet. I mean, it's so much preparation, but as one federal judge told me early on in my career, trial is not a scripted affair. It's constantly changing. It's constantly evaluation. And so much of what we do as lawyers day to day is we sit behind a desk. We have the protection of a conference room. We don't have to be out in front. And what this exercise did and does is put them standing with nothing to protect them between themselves and the questioner, and be confronted with decisions that they have to make, and also listen. Because that's the other thing, is that we, as lawyers, frequently just prepare these outlines and we ask these questions, but we don't listen to what's being said. And that's where the trials change. It's the concession that, and everything goes out the window, and you're going to focus on that. So they had to listen to one another, think of where this was going to end up, and get there in a way that forced them to be creative.
Today was somewhat unrealistic in a good way, in the sense that there were two of us. Roughly 12 of them, so that means there would have been 6 on each of us, right? Well, that's not the Trial Academy. Trial Academy, we almost never have more than 3 students per faculty member. Yeah, oftentimes 2, so that there's a lot of direct hands-on. I can tell you without fear of contradiction, I know from witnessing it, and I can think of the guy that I'm thinking about in particular, well after the night is over, and these are long days. Yeah.
This is a whole day. You guys are doing this for the entire day?
Oh, my God. Our morning starts at 7, and it goes to about, we have dinner with the students at about 7 o'clock. Yeah, then they go back and start working on their assignments for the next day. The faculty members are oftentimes sitting in the lounge with them, working on their presentations. I mean, all hours of the night. It is a lot of work, and you can do that when you and 2 students, or you and 3 students at most. So that's a lot of learning takes place in that scenario, I think.
It's juggling a lot of different aspects of the trial. And that's the other part of this exercise that's, I think, very realistic, is that you have to put together an entire case in a very short amount of time, and you don't have the luxury of days and weeks to do this. You really have to think quickly.
So you're kind of creating a stressful environment in and of itself with that.
Absolutely. I don't know what it is about the engineering department, but some of those kids are really smart, but English is usually not their first language. And the doctors, of course, they're coming out of hospital, so you got to get a hold of them. And I mean, it's just like trial. It really is.
Yeah, and you can always count on something happening.
Yeah. Someone doesn't show. And
someone doesn't show.
Well, we're getting short on our time here, but before we close it out for the day, I want to give you gentlemen an opportunity to leave some contact information. So our audience is, for the most part, attorneys, other legal professionals, and they're going to want to follow up and chat with you guys, maybe want to get involved in one of these classes. So that being the case, how can they reach you? Fred, why don't we start with you?
Sure. My direct dial number, 813-222-5908, 813-222-5908, or just Google me at DLA Piper and email me.
This is a brave man leaving his direct dial on the Legal Talk Network.
It's on my card. It's on my card.
I'll try to up one there. I'll give you my cell number.
Oh, my goodness.
206-227-5744. 206-227-5744. I'm with Tanenbaum Keale. I'm in Seattle. I'm licensed down the West Coast, so I'm on the road a lot, but always happy to talk Trial Academy. Would love to see more people come and share the experience.
Terrific. Well, we've reached the end of the road for today's episode, but I want to thank our guests, Fred, Chris, for joining us today, and also want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And if you like what you heard today, please rate us an Apple Podcast. We'll see you next time for another episode of On the Road with Legal Talk Network.
Thank you.
Great job.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via iTunes and RSS. Find us on Twitter and Facebook, or download our free Legal Talk Network app in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.